Bottom line, March is off to a March-like start with wind, snow, rain, and severe thunderstorms. Across the country this week, we're dealing with an active weather pattern, with several storm systems moving through and bringing wind in the west, mountain snow in the Rockies, and periods of heavy rain and thunderstorms across parts of the central and eastern United States. The biggest themes this week are persistent wind across the west and the Rockies, mountain snow in the northern and central Rockies and the Pacific Northwest, a storm track from Texas towards the Midwest and East that will bring heavy rain and thunderstorms, and a few pockets of freezing rain early in the period. While there will be shorter windows of easier travel, there really isn't a long stretch this week where the entire country quiets down at the same time. I'm Dave Titley, co-founder of RV Weather, here with your road travel forecast for the upcoming weekend and next week. The RV weather impacts graphic shows travel impacts to RVers due to weather. If there is no color, there is no significant impact. Yellow is slight impacts, oranges are moderate to challenging impacts, and reds and purples indicate hazardous to treacherous conditions. Looking for great weather? That's shown by the sky blue. Looking at the current National Weather Service alerts, the most widespread issues fall into three areas. Across the West and the Rockies, winter weather and wind alerts are tied to mountain snow and strong winds, particularly across parts of California, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, and Colorado. These winds can create difficult driving conditions for RVs and trailers across exposed terrain and mountain passes, especially across parts of I-80, I-70, and I-25. There are high wind warnings out until Saturday afternoon for the I-5 Grapevine north of Los Angeles, with wind gusts to 65 miles an hour. Across the central United States, alerts focus more on severe thunderstorms and heavy rainfall, as storms organize along a front stretching from Texas northward towards the Midwest. There are also two smaller icing areas to watch early in the period. Tomorrow, we could see freezing rain across parts of New England, which could briefly affect travel. And then early Saturday, another pocket of freezing rain may develop north of Minneapolis, mainly across northern Minnesota near the I-94 corridor. These areas are fairly localized, but ice can create dangerous road conditions very quickly. Friday and Saturday feature the most widespread weather impacts across the country. Across the West, strong winds extend from California through the Great Basin and into the Rockies. These winds could make travel difficult for high-profile vehicles, especially across open terrain along routes like I-5 in California, I-80 across Nevada and Wyoming, and I-25 along the Front Range. Mountain snow continues across parts of the northern and central Rockies, particularly along high-elevation routes like I-90 through Montana and I-70 across Colorado. Across the central United States, a storm system develops along a front running from Texas towards the Midwest. That setup supports heavy rain and thunderstorms, especially from Texas through Arkansas and Missouri, generally following the I-35 and I-44 corridors. Some of these storms could become severe, with strong winds, heavy rain, and the possibility of hail and even a tornado or two. One interesting feature with this system is how far north the severe weather may extend. Guidance suggests storms could reach eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania on Saturday, which is significantly further north than is typical for early March. Travelers along routes such as I-70 and I-76 through Ohio and Pennsylvania should keep an eye on that potential. By Sunday and Monday, the pattern shifts but remains fairly unsettled. Across the west, winds gradually ease in parts of California. Once those winds diminish, travel conditions across much of California improve significantly, especially along the 5 and the 10. However, further north, the weather remains unsettled. The Pacific Northwest and northern Rockies continue to see snow, and winds remain strong across parts of Montana and Wyoming, which can still affect travel along routes like I-90 and I-25. Across the southern plains and lower Mississippi Valley, thunderstorms remain possible Sunday, particularly from eastern Texas into Louisiana and Mississippi, roughly along and east of the I-35 corridor. From Tuesday through Thursday, the storm track shifts east. Heavy rain may extend from Texas through the Mississippi Valley and into the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic, generally following a corridor from I-35 northeast towards I-64 and eventually towards I-95. Several inches of rainfall could fall along this track, raising the possibility of localized flooding, especially where storms repeatedly move across the same regions. Thunderstorms remain possible along this corridor as well. Tuesday will see a significant severe weather threat extend from San Antonio along the I-35 and I-44 corridors northwards to I-70. Severe thunderstorms decrease on Wednesday. Meanwhile, back in the Pacific Northwest, colder air pushes in and lowers snow levels dramatically. By Tuesday, snow levels could drop to near sea level, and from Monday through Wednesday, many locations could see snow levels below 1,000 feet. That means even some lower elevations west of the Cascades could see snow showers, while mountain passes along I-90 and I-84 experience more typical winter driving conditions. Across the Rockies, periods of wind and mountain snow continue to create occasional travel impacts along routes like I-70 and I-25. Looking ahead into the third week of March, the large-scale pattern begins to shift. Cooler than normal conditions are probable across parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast, while warmer than normal conditions develop across the Southwest and much of the West. Precipitation signals lean wetter across parts of the Northern Tier and Northeast, while much of the Southern Tier trends somewhat drier. One notable takeaway is that California appears to remain dry during the rest of March. So if you're hoping for a late season March miracle storm to boost California's rain and snowfall totals, the current outlook suggests that is not likely. While the crystal ball is always cloudy when talking about a 3-week forecast, right now it looks like the overall pattern remains fairly similar for the last week in March. The Southwest and Southern Rockies continue to run warmer than normal, while the Northern Tier trends closer to normal or slightly cooler. The odds favor somewhat wetter conditions across parts of the Great Lakes and Northeast, while California and much of the Southwest remain relatively dry. So where does the travel weather look best? Despite the unsettled pattern overall, some regions will still see relatively easier travel conditions. The East Coast corridor, particularly along I-95, generally experiences fewer major hazards compared to areas further west. Parts of the Gulf Coast along I-10 also avoid some of the stronger winds affecting the northern routes. And California, once we get beyond the weekend winds, should see good travel conditions starting on Monday. Let's finish with the daily interstate travel guides. For east-west routes, the southern routes like I-10 and I-20 generally perform better than the northern crossings this week. Routes along the middle of the country, I-40, I-70, I-80, see more variability as storms track across the plains in the Midwest. And the northern route along I-90 remains the most challenging, with winter weather and storm systems affecting the northern states. For the north-south routes, I-95 along the East Coast generally remains the easiest corridor this week. Routes through the central United States, including I-35 and I-25, see more variability due to thunderstorms, wind, and occasional winter weather. And I-5 along the West Coast improves once the winds decrease, though the Pacific Northwest still sees some low-elevation snow at times. So to wrap things up, expect persistent winds in the west, especially across the Rockies and the Great Basin. Mountain snow continues in the Pacific Northwest and the northern Rockies. Heavy rain and thunderstorms develop from Texas towards the Midwest and the East. And localized icing is possible early in the period in New England and northern Minnesota. It's a busy early March weather pattern. Finding your best weather window along your specific route is key. Check conditions along your route, keep that NOAA weather radio handy, and travel safely. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please click on the thumbs up button. Thank you and safe travels.